Good morning, everyone. Today is June 3rd, 2022. Welcome to the City of Toronto Committee of Adjustment, Scarborough District. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on the YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by the computer, a phone, or a tablet app. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you please mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Before we begin, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that applies to property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on any application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because Committee of Adjustment and the T-Lab will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto local appeal body, the T-Lab, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal or the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of the hearing procedure, I will call each item in order that's listed on the agenda. When making your submissions where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to the revised notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has the opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. I must emphasize that we are here to listen to your concerns and comments, but if you repeat the same comments again, it will not advance your cause. So please try to limit and condense your comments as best as possible. This will mark once the speakers are finished and the applicant has had a chance to rebut, this will mark the end of the discussion and the application will then be taken into committee for a decision. For today's session, for the morning session, we will be dealing with items 1 to 17. Before I hear the first item that's listed on the agenda for the first session, may I receive confirmation of minutes of the last hearing? Members of the committee, have you had a chance to review the minutes of the last hearing? And if so, can I have a mover, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I move approval of the minutes from the meeting of May the 5th, Committee of Adjustment.
May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second the motion for approval of minutes of the last meeting dated May 5th.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any declarations of interest of panel? I think it's for everyone, not just the DST. For all, are there any conflicts of interest to be declared? I see none. All right, there are no conflicts of interest. Now, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do you have any requests for deferral?
Through the chair, there are 2 requests for deferrals of the morning session. The first one is for item 2, 62 ALLISTER Avenue. Defer to the June 23rd hearing due to insufficient notice given under the Planning Act.
Okay, thank you. May I please have the agent online, Peter Jerusik? Thank you. Peter, are you with us?
Hello, this is Peter Druzik from Arc Design Group.
Hi, Peter. Thank you. Peter, we have a request of deferral for item number 2 for 62 ALLISTER Avenue. Do you have any comments?
No, I was informed by the Committee of Adjustment that there was an error on the notice and they had to move us to the 23rd. So I'm in agreement with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions or comments on the deferral? If there are none, can I please have a motion on deferral for item number 2, 62 ALLISTER Avenue? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since there was insufficient notice and the applicant or the owner has agreed to that, I hereby move the motion for deferral of item number 2, and this will be rescheduled for June 23rd meeting.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application for 62 ALLISTER Avenue has been deferred.
Thank you very much.
We now move to the next request for deferral.
The second deferral request is item 16, 66 Colonial Avenue. Defer to the June 23rd public hearing due to insufficient notice given under the Planning Act. New notice will be issued.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer. Can I please have the agent or the application, Jonathan, or the applicant, Jonathan Bisowski?
Madam Chair.
Good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan, we have a request for deferral. Do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay, all right. So members of the committee, do you have any questions or comments on the request for deferral? I see none. All right. If there is no comment, can I please have a motion? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll move deferral to correct the insufficient notice.
Okay, and there's a, would you like to reschedule to the June 23rd hearing?
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
So, yeah, okay, I'll include that in my motion to reschedule to June 23rd, 2022.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second the motion for deferral of item number 16 and to be rescheduled on June 23rd.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. And the application has been deferred to the June 23rd meeting. Voting today? Just because we're even numbers. I mean, it doesn't matter for...
Through the chair, you are absolutely correct, because there are even numbers. You cannot vote.
Right?
So
that's why I wasn't voting on...
That's correct, because so to the members of the public, because we have 4 members, the chair cannot vote, because that would create a tie vote.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, any more requests for deferral, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
Through the chair, there are none.
Right, thank you. So we have dealt with the 2 deferral requests for the items that are listed on the agenda for the morning session and items from 1 to 17. I wanted to confirm that the second session, which is scheduled to begin at 1:30 or shortly thereafter today, will be dealing with items 18 to 28. All right, so morning session, we're dealing with items 1 to 17 only. All right, so that brings us to the end of the deferral request. We can now proceed with vetting the agenda. I will start with the first item. Just bear with me for a second, please. First item is 39 Kenworthy Avenue, and we will have to hold down this item because there is one speaker listed on the speakers list to speak on this item. So item number 1, which is 39 Kenworthy Avenue, is being held for further discussion. Item number 3, it is 18 LARWOOD Boulevard, and there are no speakers. Can I have Mr. Jonathan Basowski, please, as the agent for item 3? Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Would you have any comments at this time, Jonathan?
I think just if the committee did have time to look at the support material I presented, this is somewhat of a odd situation with the adjacent lots to both the east and the west, just where they're situated on the lot and how that impacts the length and depth of the building. In addition, these are extremely deep lots. So in my opinion, the depth of the lot being 87 meters or 286 feet has that ability to accommodate a
Okay, thank you. And Jonathan, before I
increase
go
in
to
depth
the,
is largely for a one-story breakfast.
my apologies, I think there was a bit of a
And then I'd be
glitch.
happy to answer any questions.
Okay, there was a bit of a glitch, and we thought you had stopped talking, so my apologies for that. Let me ask, before I proceed to the members of the committee, because we're vetting this as the agenda, so unless committee has questions, we'll hold it down. But we want to find out if you are aware of the conditions of urban forestry as well as the community planning staff report. Jonathan? Jonathan, are you with us?
I can hear it. It's very choppy. I'm not sure if somebody'd asked a question or kind of where we were.
Jonathan, I want to confirm, have you had a chance to review conditions of urban forestry and community planning?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now, Madam Chair. And yes, I have, and we have no issues with them.
Okay, thank you. Now I move to the members of the committee. Members of the committee, any questions? If there are no questions, then can I please have a motion on this application? Member Macaulay?
Just a quick question. The forestry comments have asked that the driveway be shifted to preserve the tree. Is that okay with the applicant?
Through you, Madam Chair, we have already accomplished that and moved it. And RNFP as well as forestry is okay with the revised proposal that they've reviewed.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation. I'm prepared to move approval of this application, subject to a community planning that they, condition that they build in accordance with figure number 1.
And urban forestry conditions?
And an urban forestry condition, yes.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Say, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval, subject to the community planning staff report as well as urban forestry condition number 1.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application for 18 Larwood Boulevard has been approved, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we now go to item 4? And item 4 is 85 Ellesmere Road. And there are no registered speakers. Can I have Adrienne Ledavsky, please? Thank you. Adrienne, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair, I am here.
Okay, thank you. Adrienne, do you have any comment? I understand that your application has been amended, correct?
Well, it was deferred previously, namely because there had been some confusion over the exact nature of the use that we're seeking in the basement.
Okay.
And we were happy to, with planning and building staff, and to clarify through that review the variances that you now have before you. All I'd really say are just a couple of things. First off, I provided a full letter providing our rationale and our review of the four tests. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review that, so I won't go over that in detail. But for you, I will clarify the fact that previously there was some confusion in the thought that this was in fact some kind of go-kart use that was proposed in the basement. And to clarify, that isn't the case. This is actually quite an innovative, state-of-the-art, interactive space that, yes, will have, it's geared towards children, and it is called the Creek Speedway. And the idea being that there will be an element whereby the children could basically play in small electric cars that could be driven along a track on a carpet as part of a play exercise, parties, after school exercises. But this is also a flexible space where that can then be removed, and through state-of-the-art digital projections that also respect movement, that the place could then be transformed into other innovative and interactive play environments for the children, once again, for parties or after-school activities. And that's the nature of the space. It's difficult to convey a little bit because it is so new.
Okay.
But that we reviewed with staff and were able to secure their support for.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. Members of the committee, do you have any question for Adrian? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And very quick clarity from Adrian. Thank you very much for what you said now. Yes, there was a little bit confusion about the game machine definition, and you cleared that it's going to be something like electric toy to be driven. Just tell me which age group you are offering this facility. I understand these are for children, just the age group, and also you are just to reconfirm that this facility is not used for any for the preparation of food and anything cooking over there.
Of course, sir, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, to clarify, the age group is really, I would say, for middle grade school up to, early teen years, primarily younger children. And the vehicles that they would be driving, these little electric vehicles, they would have like a maximum speed of 6 to 10 kilometers an hour. It's really quite a calm environment. And it's in fact those electric vehicles which are triggering staff's requirement for the game machine variants that you have before you. They've interpreted those vehicles as being the game machines under the zoning bylaw. Now, as for your question about food, there is a food servery in there in the sense that there might be popcorn available, let's say drinks maintained in the fridge or as such. Any other foods, whether it's hot dogs or pizza or anything like that, would have to be brought in and then served from the servery area. And this is, I'm sure we've all experienced this, those of us who have young children, where we have a party and there might be little pizza that's served as part of it, or perhaps cake. And that's what the servery room would be for. But
Okay.
to answer your question, no intent for preparation of foods.
Okay, thank you very much, Adrian, for that clarification. And Member Said, I hope that is satisfactory. All right, let's proceed. We are, just remind everyone, we're vetting the agenda. So if you have any questions that you think that may require more time, let me know so that I can park that item as needed. So on this item, if there are no further comments or questions, can I please have a motion? And there are no conditions. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you for the clarity, Adrian. Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item number 4, and there is no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The application has been approved. Thank you. We now go to item 5, and item 5 is 31 Hunt Club Drive. And I don't see any registered speaker. Can I please have the agent Samantha Sinella? Okay, thank you. Samantha, you with us?
I'm here, but you're cutting out. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear us now?
Madam Chair and committee,
Yes. Can you hear me now?
can you hear me?
I
Oh, okay. It's quite choppy. Yes, thank you. I'm here for 31 Hunt Club Drive. Yes.
okay. Thank you, Samantha.
We have a number of variances, but we've worked with the cities. Oh,
Just give me a moment, Samantha. Just give me a moment.
okay.
All right, sorry about this, Samantha. So Samantha, we are vetting the session, so unless committee members have any questions, we were not expecting a presentation. We just want to know if you have any comment before I advance to the committee members.
No, no comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Samantha? Before I move, Samantha, there was a committee planning staff report, and have you had a chance to review that? And there's a condition that the decision be tied to the site plan and street elevation.
Yes,
Okay, and transportation services also had no objections as long as the current use of the garage is maintained with the existing dimensions. Do you have any concerns with that?
no.
Okay, thank you very much, Samantha. All right, members of the committee, we can now proceed with any questions or comments or a motion. Member Said, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I am okay with this application, and Samantha has confirmed the legal use of the garage. So, and they are okay with the community planning staff recommendations. With that, I put forward motion for approval of item number 5.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he did. May I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
All right. All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application has been approved, subject to conditions of community planning, staff report, and the condition from, not a condition, but a comment from Transportation Services, which Samantha has agreed. All right, we now go to the next item, item 6, 44 Queensbury Avenue. Can we have the agent Jacek Suchaski, please? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Jacek, we are vetting the agenda, so do you have a comment at this time before I ask the committee if they have any questions?
No, the only thing I wanted to kind of mention that the relief we're asking for was actually just done by a mistake by the contractor, so the shed is already existing. And if we don't get that, we would have to kind of take it down, and that's, with today's dose, when we're trying to save this, be sustainable and keep buildings, and that would be kind of waste. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment. Members of the committee, do you have any questions or comments? If there are none, can I please have a motion? Member McCauley, please go ahead.
I recommend approval of this variance, and there are no conditions.
All right, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
I second the motion for approval, Madam Chair, and there are no conditions attached for this approval.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried, and the application for 44 Queensbury Avenue has been approved. Thank you. Item number 7 is 486 Huntington Drive. I see a speaker who has registered to speak on this application, so we will hold down this item and come back. So item 7, which is 486 Huntingtonwood Drive, is being held for further discussion. Item number 8 is 114 Haileybury Drive. And I don't see any registered speaker except the agent. So can I please have Faisal Ahmed? Thank you. Hello, Faisal. You with us?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning. I'm here. Thank you.
Good morning, Faisal. So Faisal, we have your application before us. You have amended the application. And are you aware of community planning staff report deferral request?
Yes, Madam Chair. I went through the report.
Okay. Before I proceed, members of the committee, would you like to hold down this item for further discussion because it's being deferred, or would you like to proceed with the decision at this time? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, you were cutting out. Is this application to be deferred or to be held?
No, community planning
No.
has recommended deferral. So my question to the committee is, do you want to hold this
Madam
down
Chair,
for
after
further
you finish,
discussion?
I'd like to say something. Yeah, sorry about that.
Faisal, we'll give you a chance. All right,
Yes, please, Madam
just
Chair.
hang in there.
Yeah.
We're already having a little technical glitch here, so we want to make sure that everyone gets the chance to speak in their turn. So Member Macaulay, I want to clarify. I'm only suggesting, because community planning is recommending deferral, would you like to hold this down and come back for further discussion, or is the committee prepared to make a decision?
I will hold it down
Okay,
as long as the applicant is, well, we're just going to hold it down.
okay.
The applicant doesn't have to agree to hold.
Member Said, you had your hand up.
Madam Chair, I will say we can go forward during this vetting session. If there is a short question, if only the applicant can answer, either they agree to these community planning recommendation to limit the variance number 2 and 3.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to Faisal. Faisal, you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. So we went through all the variances with community planning, and they had concern for the building length only. And it was, we proposed 2330.38 and we reduced to 21 meter. Also, we discussed this issue with the Honorable Deputy Mayor's office multiple times. So if you see the community planning report, that it says if they don't have any objection or any comments, then they recommend for deferral. But we had, I personally spoke to the Honorable Deputy Mayor's office staff multiple times. They don't have any objections. And as you can see that with the owner spoke to the neighbors, they knocked the door, each and every door in the neighborhood on the same street, side streets and back street. None of them has any objection. And 79 neighbors, they signed the support petition. So I'd like to, and again, I mean, I'd like to focus on that the community planning is recommending deferral in case there is any objection from the councillor office or anybody, but you can see that there is no objection. So I think I'd like to request committee to continue the this hearing
Okay, all right.
process.
Okay, thank you, Faisal. Members of the committee, you heard that explanation. Any comments? If not, then are we prepared to proceed? Member Macaulay, is that okay if we proceed with the decision? Or you still want to hold this item down?
I'm okay to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, members of the committee, Member Said, you had your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm okay to put forward a motion for approval of this application, subject to the condition of community planning, which recommends that variance number 2 to be limited to 21 meter and variance number 3 limited to 22.092 meter, as well as subject to the condition of urban forestry.
Through the chair, there's also a condition for community planning tying it to plans. And also this, should the committee wish to approve it, it should be approved as amended.
Okay, thank you, Colin. All right, so you heard Member Said, so you want to slightly amend your motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, staff, for mentioning that. I amend my motion with the wordings that the application is as amended and subject to the community planning staff report recommendations and urban forestry conditions there.
All right, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that motion.
All right, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application for 114 Haileybury Drive has been approved. Thank you. Okay, we move to item number 9. Item number 9 is 133 Midland Avenue, but we do have a registered speaker on this, so we will hold down this item and come back to it. Item number 10, 41 Red Deer Avenue. Can we please have the agent Paige reach? All right. Good morning, Paige. Are you with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. All right, Paige, we have your application before us. Any comment at this time before I go to the committee?
No comment if there's no presentation needed.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Members of the committee, any comment? Any question? I see none. All right. Can I please have a motion? Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
I recommend approval of this variance application, and I don't see any conditions.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yes, I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
All right. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved and there are no conditions. Thank you. We now go to item 11, and item 11 is 330 Rouge Highlands Drive. There are no registered speakers. Can I please have the agent Lindsay Bruce, please? Thank you. Lindsay, you with us?
Yes, this is actually Joel Tanner with the Office of Simple Design Studio. Lindsay Bruce is my colleague. I'm speaking on behalf of the clients this morning.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't catch your first name, sir.
Yeah, first name is Joel, Joel, last name Tanner, Tanner.
Thank you, Joel. All right, Joel, we have
Through the chair, can we get Mr. Tanner's address as well?
Okay.
For the record?
Yeah, most certainly. Business address is number 15, Colburn, Colbourne Street in Hamilton, Ontario.
That's good. All right, perfect. Thank you. So, Joel, we have your application before us. Do you have a comment at this time before I go to the committee?
I just want to reinforce that we had some great discussions and have support from neighboring dwellings. And any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Joel? I see none. All right. There are no questions. Can I please have a motion? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Recommend approval of this application. I note that a soil stability report was done and accepted. TRCA is okay. And there is a condition from urban forestry. So recommend approval subject to condition from urban forestry.
Yes, there are conditions for urban forestry. And Joel, are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
We are, that's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Member Macaulay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead. Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, as Member Ann mentioned, this is TRC is okay with that as it's just a replacement dwelling, and there are urban forestry condition number 2 and 3. Subject to that, I second the motion for approval.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? Motion is carried, and the application is approved subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you. Okay, we now go to our next item, and item 12. Item 12 is 137 GREYABBEY Trail. And there are no registered speakers except the agent. Can I please have Jimison online? Jimison, you with us?
Variances before the committee, I believe these are minor, so I put forward motion for approval of item number 12 as amended, subject to the condition of community planning staff report recommendations and urban forestry condition number 2 and 3.
All right, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that motion.
All right, and all in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried and the application has been approved, subject to conditions as noted. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have item number 13, and item 13 is 49 MACK Avenue. There are no registered speakers. Can I please have the agent Priyal Kapadia? Priyal, are you with us?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Priyal, we have your application before us. Do you have any comment at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk about it. Like, we just have three minor variances, which is the maximum permissible driveway, which is supposed to be 3.21 meters. And now we're proposing to 4.55 meters. The second one is about the exterior staircase, which is supposed to be 2 meters, and we're proposing 3.51. And the third is regarding the platform area, which is supposed to be 4 square meters, but we're proposing 5.1 square meters. So I would like to just request that we have really minor variances, and also a client has made efforts to, talk to the neighbors, and they got really good support from them for these variances. So I would just like to request the committee members to consider these variances as minor in nature and approve the same.
Okay, all right, thank you. Members of the committee, any question? Right, I see none. Can I please have a motion then? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the variances before the committee, the three variances, I see all of them are minor, appropriate. These are about driveway, width, platform, and the staircase. There are no conditions of urban forestry there, so I put forward motion for approval of item number 13, and there are no conditions attached for approval.
Okay, thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I believe Member Said was referring to application number 13 when we're dealing with number 14. And there is actually only one variance. I think Member Said referred to 3 variances. So I just want to make sure we're deciding on the same thing here.
Member Taylor, we are discussing item 13, and item 13 is 49 Mack Avenue.
Okay, well, if I may, then I delete everything I said. I'd be delighted to second the motion.
Okay, all right. So we have a seconder. Mr. Taylor seconded the motion, and all in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application has been approved for 49 Mack Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and committee members. Thank you.
Okay. We now move to item 14, and item 14 is 60 Colonel Danforth Trail. There are no registered speakers, and we have the owner, Peter Kuzinski. Is Peter with us? Thank you.
Yes, hello, Madam Chair.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, Peter. We have your application before us. I'll check with the committee if they want to have a presentation, but before I do, are you aware of the conditions from urban forestry as well as community planning staff report?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Peter? I see none. All right. If there are no questions or comments, can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a very straightforward application. There is only one variance, and I am okay with that, which is minor. I put forward motion for approval of item number 14, subject to the community planning staff report recommendations and urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, oh, may I have a seconder? Member Macaulay, please go ahead. Member Macaulay, please go
Madam
ahead.
Chair, I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor of this motion? All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application has been approved, subject to conditions. Thank you. All right. We now go to item 15, and item 15 is 434 Lawson Road. There are no speakers, but we have the agent with us, Jim Wallace. Are you with us, Jim?
I can't hear you, Madam Chair. I believe you may have cut out.
My apologies, Jim. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Jim, we have your application before us, and we understand your application has been amended. And have you read the community planning staff report condition and the TRCA requesting for a TRCA permit? Are you aware of that?
Yes, Madam Chair, we are aware of the conditions. We've read the report and we understand our responsibilities to TRCA and RNFP.
Thank you very much, sir. Members of the committee, any question or comment on this application? I see none. All right. Oh, Member Macaulay. Okay, go ahead.
I just want a clarification from the applicant. I haven't noticed that the hammerhead driveway is eliminated. Could you just clarify what you're doing with that driveway, please?
Certainly, through you, Madam Chair. Our original submission to Committee of Adjustment had a parking pad located next to the garage, which is a side-loaded garage. During discussion with planning staff and through zoning review, they determined that that qualified as a hammerhead, and we did not meet the test of the zoning bylaw to qualify for a hammerhead. Planning had requested that we remove the hammerhead, therefore eliminating variances 5 and 6, and reconfiguring the driveway in a manner that no longer had the parking pad or hammerhead adjacent to the proposed garage. The amended site plan that committee has with the date of May 22nd, 2022, shows a driveway that is altered, deleting the hammerhead, and we are maintaining the existing opening at the front lot line fronting onto Lawson. So this driveway starts out very narrow and it widens as we enter to the property. However, we will not be seeking any minor variances associated with this driveway. We do understand that this driveway that was submitted on May 25th has not been vetted by zoning. They have made it clear in planning staff's comments that any decision made by the committee today, if any further variances arise as a part of this configuration, would not be approved. So we are required, when we refile back for our zoning certificate, that the driveway will need to comply to the bylaw. But variances of 5 and 6 are removed.
Thank you. I was looking at the plan and I was a little bit confused.
That's very fair. I understand. And thank you for your question.
Right, Madam Chair, I'm satisfied and I'm prepared to put forth the motion.
All right, Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I recommend approval of this application, subject to the community planning comments that they build in accordance with the site plan, subject to TRCA comments, which I believe they've already received, and subject to the tree preservation report.
Through the chair, there are no TRCA conditions. And it's approved, and it would be approved as amended, subject to the CP conditions.
Okay, I'll take that as the revised wording. I have TRCA had a comment, no objections.
That is correct.
I thought they still needed a permit.
Yes, but the permit is a separate process. It's not a condition. They're not recommending it as a condition.
Yeah, they're not recommending
separate-
it as a
yeah.
condition, yeah. So they will have to deal with the responsibilities that they owe to TRCA. Okay? All right, so at this time, we're only looking at conditions of community planning staff report. Okay?
And urban forestry.
I don't see any urban forestry conditions either.
Through the chair, there are no urban forestry comments.
Ravine staff had reviewed and had no concerns, and there are no conditions of urban forestry. Okay? Do you want
All right,
to?
I'm surprised there's no conditions of urban forestry because I've read his report and he's got 24 trees that were assessed to be preserved.
Understood, but until we have something from urban forestry, I can't just assume that. So there is nothing from urban forestry here.
All right. I still think this is a good development. It is a minor variance, so I will recommend approval subject to community planning condition that build in accordance with the site plan. And I guess that's the site plan dated May 22nd, 2022.
As amended, just say the site plan as amended.
Site plan as amended.
Okay, thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
So I second the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been approved as amended with the conditions as noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now go to item 17. Item 17 is 8 Falmouth Avenue, and there are no registered speakers. We have the agent, Julia Boron. Julia, you with us? Hello, Julia. Julia, can you hear us? Okay, Julia, regardless, we are holding down this item. I have some questions regarding transportation services comments. So we're going to hold down this item and come back to it. So Julia, we were having some technical issues getting through to you. We are holding down this item. We will come back to it and hopefully you can fix any technical glitches at your end. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the agenda for the morning session. We've dealt with items 1 to 17. Staff, I'm going to just confirm the items that we've held for further discussion. We've held item number 1, number 7, number 9, and number 17. All right, 4 items that are held. Thank you. All right, so now we go to the first item that was held, and that is item number 1, 39 Kenworthy Avenue. And we have the agent Kulvinder Kaur with us. All right,
Yeah, hi, thank you.
Hi, Kulvinder. Just bear with me. I'm just not doing a roll call, but Scott Gibbon is the neighbor who had registered to speak. So please be prepared. We'll come to you shortly. So Kulvinder, we're going to start with you. We have your application before us for item 1. The application was amended. Would you like to advise the committee or would you rather go straight to the questions?
I would just give a brief about the application. So we went to this we went to the committee last year also, and we reduced our variances as per the committee staff advised us. And then afterwards, other reasons we didn't go for the hearing, but this time again, when committee staff advised us to reduce the variance, we reduced the variance further. And we also got the letter from the support letter from the Committee of Adjustment. So after that, even sorry, before that, we have reduced a lot of variances, our building length, building depth, even the rear setback. So I request committee to please consider the application and give us approval. That's it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Staff members, may I please request you to pull up the revised variances on the screen, just so that everyone is familiar with the amendments. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have the revised variance notice up on the screen for everyone's reference. Committee members, any questions of Kulvinder at this time? Okay, I see none. All right, so we can leave the variances up on the screen, and I'm going to now go to our neighbor who wants to speak to this, and Scott Gibbon. Scott, you with us? Not yet. All right, okay. Hello, Scott.
How do I get you?
Can you hear me now, Scott?
I hear you.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, perfect. And we can hear you fine as well. All right, Scott. So,
Oh, good, great.
okay, you registered to speak with us, and you have 5 minutes. Please go on, please go ahead and tell us your concerns with this application.
All right. Okay. Good morning. My name's Scott Gibbon. I've lived at 37 Kenworthy for over 30 years. Some of my concerns are the proposed building that will be built at 39 Kenworthy. I'm concerned about the distance between the two houses. Will I be able to pass through? At the present time, we have a drain system that is connected as a Y. Will that be shared? Will it remain? At the back of the property, it's calling for a building to be 1 foot away from a fence. I feel that this is an adequate space to keep clean, remove debris and such. I'm concerned about the excavation damaging the root system of some of the trees at the back of the properties. The size of the building, there will be no green space to disperse the rainwater from the roof. As for the grading now, 39 and 37 Kenwood are lowest properties. With this proposal, I feel I will be flooded out. I feel on the south elevation, the windows will be a fire hazard to my property. I believe that a single family dwelling, I believe this will not be a single family dwelling, as they have turned a 500 square foot bungalow into 4 units. The size of this proposal could bring as many as 10 to 15 units. The area is not zoned for rooming houses. Having that many tenants in the house will bring a great burden on the infrastructure, parking, and the problems that will also devaluate my property. The owners of 39 Kenworthy have several properties that they rent out. We have a petition signed by more than 50% of the neighbors who are against this proposal. Please consider my concerns in this matter, and I appreciate your help in this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott. You mentioned there's a petition. We did not receive any petition signed by the neighbors, as you mentioned. So was it submitted to the city?
No, we haven't. I guess I have to do that. Sorry.
That would have been very helpful.
I don't know. I didn't know what this.
That's okay. That's okay. You know what?
I thought that I could show you.
That's okay. We'll take your word.
You want me to submit it?
It's a bit late now.
So?
It's a bit late now because we're actually hearing the application today, and most likely a decision will be made on this application. So I would say we'll just go with what you've mentioned, that there's a petition signed by the neighbors, and with concerns with this application. That's totally fine. I just want to confirm a couple of things with you. You mentioned the building is closer. You're on the south side of this property, correct?
Correct.
And you mentioned that it's going to be closer, or there is not enough distance between your property and what's being proposed, correct?
Well, that's what I seen in the drawing, Jess.
Okay, so I want to clarify, and then again, I'm trying to help you out here. So
Yep.
the zoning requires the setbacks to be complied with, and there's certainly a reduction in the side yard setback on the north side. And I guess you're right, there's also on the south side. So we will get that clarification from the applicant. And then you mentioned the size of the building. Grading, I want to clarify with the grading and flooding, it's not within the purview of this committee. But what I can tell you is that should the approvals be granted today, the applicant.
Sorry?
Should the committee approve this application today, we haven't made any decision, but let's say going forward, if the application is approved, and when the applicant applies for a building permit application, the building department will make sure that the grading is all satisfactory, meets all the standards, all the design standards, and there's no impact on adjacent properties as a result of this development. So those are the matters that are not within the purview of this committee, so we can't speak to it, but I can tell you that the building department would be the ones to speak to if you have any concerns regarding drainage or grading or flooding on your property. Similarly, for windows and from a fire hazard perspective that you mentioned, those are again matters that the building department will be looking at, and unfortunately, that's not within the purview of this committee as well. So I just wanted to clarify those things with you, but we're certainly going
Okay,
to,
that's fine.
yeah, we will certainly go to the applicant and talk to, and get some clarification on the other matters that you've raised with regards to setbacks and size of the building, okay? So just bear with us here. All right, committee members, do you have,
Thank you.
committee members, any questions for Scott? I see none. All right. Thank you very much, Scott, for your time. We are now going to go to Kulvinder. Kulvinder, you're with us now?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
Kulvinder, so you heard the concerns. So what are your thoughts on their concerns regarding the size and in particular the setback on the south side as it directly impacts the neighbor who spoke today?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have setback concern 4.6 meters, which is only on the rear side. There's a offset wall which is coming out towards the south side. So from the building's very first point till 13 meters, we have a setback of more than 6 meters. Sorry, more than 0.6 meters, which is more than 2 feet. And it is approximately 5 feet over there. However, after that, for a certain wall length, which is approximately 27 feet, for that portion only, we have a lesser setback. So if I can reduce it a little bit if like neighbors has issue with that, but it's only for the small portion, nothing else. And even this committee we have the supporting letter from the committee, so I don't think so it should be a issue. But yeah, if the neighbors have, we are okay with reducing the little bit of the setback from the south side.
So what does that little back look like?
Sorry?
What does that little bit look like? You said you're prepared to reduce it or increase it a little bit more. What would that number be?
So if it's currently 0.6 meter, we can reduce to 0.7. We can go to 0.7 meters.
Can you show me on the plan, staff, where is that being identified? Which portion?
Apart from that, we have other residential examples in the neighborhood.
Let's focus on this
similar
first.
sort of setback.
Sorry, Kulvinder, I'm cutting you, but let's focus on this one first. We're just trying to get our bearings here. So you mentioned 0.6. I don't see 0.6. It's 0.31 on the south side.
This one, yeah. So
can you
this
zoom
wall
in?
with a
Zoom in, please.
So this portion of the wall has a lesser setback. Before that, the main wall, this has more setback. So this wall, which is a lesser one, it is 8.49 in length.
I'm
So for
talking
the
about
8.49 on,
I'm talking about the setback, Kulvinder. If you can tell me where is that setback that you're referring to? Where is that shown on the plan here?
can you just move in, sorry, zoom in a little bit?
Can you zoom in a little bit, Kelly?
It's over there.
It's over there.
So 4 feet, something, something. Or the nomenclature says gate.
Okay, so
It's very light dimension, yeah.
okay, so from what I'm reading on the variance, it says the south side yard setback is 0.31 meters, and you're saying that that is only for the portion of the building, for that wall that sticks out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you prepared to continue with the remainder, like do a straight wall all the way back?
We are open to reduce it a bit. Since you mentioned like it's 0.3, we can reduce to 0.5 meters.
Through the chair, community planning is recommending this be tied to plans,
Okay, but I
which
think
which reflects the jog
the
right
jog,
now.
right? But I
Correct.
think she's saying that she's prepared to even further increase that setback. That's what
Okay,
she's suggesting.
fair enough.
Yeah. Because she heard the concern from the neighbor, so she's prepared to increase that setback to 0.5. Okay, all right.
However, what that does though is that it's community plan. The reason why community planning is recommending tying it to plans is
So
to
that it's
reflect.
stuck to that portion.
So it's not the entire length of the house that's 0.5, correct?
Yeah, and what she's suggesting is that even with that jog that comes out closer to 0.3, she's prepared to increase it to 0.5 for that jog. Okay?
Yeah, but sorry for interrupting. I said if let me just probably my words were weak and misunderstood. If the neighbor has that much of concern and the committee of adjustment say so, I will reduce it further. But we have certain examples in the neighborhood which has similar sort of lesser setback. So it depends, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's go to the committee. Committee members, any comments, any thoughts or questions? Or are you, do you consider these as minor and prepared to move? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I would like to support the neighbor because I see that jog and it's hard to determine how much that is going to be. I'm not sure why the building has a jog. Can the applicant not make it straight and eliminate the jog and then not create that variance on the south side? I don't have a problem with the variance on the north side because that's adjacent to a lane. But on the south side, I think that the neighbor has an issue. And I noticed that this building is also got a length issue. So it goes closer to him and longer as it impacts him. Those are my comments on that.
Okay. All right. I'm with you all, except that I'm still trying to figure out what the dimensions are. The dimensions weren't shown on the plan clearly, right? This is why I'm a little, I'm not sure about this, how to go about it, unless someone can point me exactly what the dimensions are. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Colin can perhaps explain to me. Okay, so Kulvinder, I'm going to come back to you.
Yes, please.
So as you heard, Member Macaulay also feels that, that it'll certainly be an improvement if you were to increase that setback there. So can you tell me exactly how much that would be so that we can firm it up? Or could you potentially eliminate that variance at all? I don't know what the requirement is and what's being proposed here. 0.9 is a requirement, and you're proposing 0.31 on the south side. How would you like to go about it?
Yeah, can you just give me a moment? Let me just check in my CAD files so that I can. Is it okay with you?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
Just give me a second. I can keep my setback from 0.3 to 0.9 meters for that jog, for that offset.
Oh, so for that jog that comes out, you're prepared to meet the zoning requirement of 0.9?
Yeah, 0.9 meters.
So does that now eliminate that variance for the south side yard
Yes,
setback?
it will.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, all right. So we are so Kulvinder is recommending the amendment to the application or proposing an amendment to the application, which would remove the variance for the south side yard setback, correct?
Sorry, say again.
So if you can look at the screen.
I missed something.
If you can look at the screen, you basically that variance is being amended to remove the variance for the south side yard setback.
Yes, for the
Okay.
south only.
Okay, so it's only for the north side yard setback. Perfect. Okay, all right. We're all in agreement, and Mr. Scott Gibbon, if you're listening, that variance has been removed, and the south side yard setback will now be in compliance with the zoning bylaw requirement of 0.9 meters. Thank you, Kulvinder. I think that's a good, that's certainly an improvement and a good compromise. Any further questions for Kulvinder? All right, I see none. If there are no further questions, can I please have a motion, please? And remember, there are conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report, but of course, there will be a slight tweak to those as well. So go ahead, Member Macaulay.
I recommend approval of this variance as amended so that the side yard setbacks on the south side there is no variance for the side yard setback on the south side of the property. Other than that, the variances remain as revised, and the variance is subject to community planning that it ties in with the site plan on figure 1, with the exception of that south side setback. It's also subject to comments from the forestry department.
Okay, all right.
I think that's captured what we're looking at.
I think you've captured everything, yes. And can I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Okay, and all in favor of this motion? And the motion has been carried. The application has been approved as amended and amended on the floor today and subject to conditions. Thank you very much. Okay, we now go to our next item that was held, and that was item number 7. Item number 7, we have the owner's spouse, Sharif Qureshi. Sharif, are you with us? And this is item 7, 486 Huntington Drive. So someone has multiple devices on. We can hear a lot of echo. If you can turn down all your devices except the one that you're speaking into. Hello, Sharif, are you with us?
Yes, good. Uncle?
It is.
Hello, hi, how are you?
I am very well, thank you. Is this Sharif Qureshi?
This is Sharif Qureshi, yes.
Okay, so Sharif Qureshi, we can hear you loud and clear, and we have your application before us. Do you have any comments at this time, or would you start with taking questions of the committee?
You can have the question. My architect supposed to be there, answer
Okay.
mostly things he's supposed to tell, or you can ask the question. It's fine.
Okay, no problem. If you're okay, then I'm going to call on your architect, Wesley Lim.
Because I don't want to mistake the question because for the design or something.
Yeah, no
He's
problem.
supposed to be online.
I can totally understand that, no problem. You were listed first on the list, so that's why I started with you. I will go to Wesley Lim now. So thank you. Wesley.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Wesley, you're with us now. Wesley, are you with us? Okay, I'm going to go to the next person, I guess. Priscilla Liu, are you with us, Priscilla?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Priscilla, so you'll be speaking on behalf of Wesley and Sharif Qureshi today?
Sure.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I guess you're on the list, so you're going to have to speak now. We have your application here. We're looking at it. Do you have any comments at this time, or would you rather go straight to the questions?
Sorry.
Priscilla, do you
Sorry,
want...
you were cut off.
Priscilla, we are looking at your application. Do you want to present, or do you want to go straight to questions?
I would like to straight to question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
I think Wesley is speaking.
Okay, so who's going to speak? Priscilla, you or Wesley?
I'm going to speak.
You're going to speak. Okay. All right. So Priscilla is going to be the speaker on this application. And she has suggested that we go straight to questions. So Member Macaulay, please go ahead with your question.
I was going to request a fairly short presentation from the architect, because I see that the application has been revised.
Okay, fair enough. Member Macaulay. So Priscilla, you heard that. Member Macaulay would like to have a brief presentation since the application has been amended. So maybe we can pull up the revised variances on the screen so that everyone can refer to those. And Priscilla, you have 5 minutes. Please describe your application and the amendments that have been made. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Wait me a second. Sorry. How is it? Oh, okay. So I'm speaking. Sorry.
Yes, you are.
Okay, wait, sure. Sorry, Kelly. Wesley would like to speak for this.
Okay, sure.
Hello.
Hello, Wesley.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead. Present your presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So my name is Wesley Lim, and I'm here with Priscilla Liu. We're the architects. The owner, Mr. Karashi, is also in attendance. And I just wish to bring to the attention of the committee some of the documents that are available on the committee website. One is a letter of support from Councillor Nick Mantis. The other is a letter of support from Mary Julia, and the staff report, which we agree with. But one of the members had a question for us.
Yes, so Wesley, so the purpose of why we would like you to present is Member Macaulay wants an explanation on the amendments that have been made to your application, if you can clarify those.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So originally there were 6 items. The first and second item was related to the secondary suite. There was, I think, a misunderstanding with the plans exam or the zoning certificate. There is only one secondary suite that's proposed in the basement. And with that clarified, we have removed items 1 and 2. Okay, so that's 2 of them. And there's another item that was removed, and I believe that was the item number 3, I think it is, and that was oh, thank you.
Item
Oh, sorry,
num-
that was item 5.
It's item
And
item
there was an
5 has
issue
been
with-
withdrawn. Yes.
Yes, yeah, and item 5 was related to a bylaw requirement of the height of the main floor to be less than 1,200 millimeters. It was 1,300, and we have revised the drawings so that we can, in effect, delete item 5 also. And then also in discussions, we have reduced the proposed height as indicated in item 4 from 10.271 meters to 10.16. And also for item 6, we've reduced the height from 12.095 to 10.32 meters.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Member Macaulay, does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much. That does help.
Okay. Thanks, Member
And
Macaulay.
So I see you have really 2 variances, one dealing with coverage and the other one dealing with height.
Yes, there are actually
3.
2 items that deal with height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Wesley. Any more questions? I see none. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Wesley. I'm now going to proceed and speak with the neighbor who has registered to speak with us today, Ryan Cheng. Can we have Ryan, please? Thank you. Ryan, you're with us?
Thank you. Ryan, you're with us?
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
I think you have multiple devices going on.
No, I actually only have one.
I'm hearing a bit of an echo.
It could be my computer, but I only have one device on.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll see how this works. So Ryan, you have 5 minutes to tell us what your concerns are with the application.
In light of the revisions for removing, I don't have any other concerns.
Oh, excellent. So your concerns have been resolved as a result of withdrawal of those variances and the revisions.
Yeah, it was just more of a question in terms of it being a multi-tenant property, that's all.
Okay, all right. I think that's fair enough. We will go to the applicant for that confirmation, but thank you for confirming that you have no concerns with the variances that are before us. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Wesley. All right, Wesley, so you heard Ryan had a question about this house being multi-tenanted. Do you have any comment?
Yeah, there is only one secondary suite proposed in the basement. And that's allowed under the bylaw.
Okay. All right, so that is permitted under the bylaw to have a secondary suite, and because that is not a variance that's before us, I can't confirm, but I'm just going to go with what you're saying, is that the second suite is permitted, which that would be in the basement. All right, thank you very much. Members of the committee, if there are no further questions or comments, are you prepared with a motion? Okay. All right, I take the matter into committee now. Members of the committee, please go ahead. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see the changes are going in a positive direction, and the neighbor has also agreed to that. I am okay to move forward the motion for approval of this application, subject to the condition of community planning staff report, and there are urban forestry condition number 2 as amended application.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, may I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay? All right, Member Macaulay, go ahead.
I will second the motion.
All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been approved as amended, subject to conditions. Thank you. All right, we go to our next item that was held, and this is item number 9. And for item number 9, this is 133 Midland Avenue. Do we have the agent, Kranal Jayani?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Hello, Kranal. We have your application before us
Hello.
at 133 Midland Avenue. Would you like to make a presentation
Yes.
or would you go straight to questions?
Yeah, I would like to make a presentation.
Okay, all right. So you have 5 minutes and please go ahead.
Okay. So good morning. First of all, good morning, Madam Chair and member of committee. I'm Kranal Jayani. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give this presentation. I would like to address the variances and objection from the neighborhood. So we have 4 variances in total. The permitted, first of all, the permitted maximum lot coverage is 33% of lot area, and we have proposed 35.69% of lot area. Second is the floor area. The maximum permitted floor area is 0.5 times the lot area, and we have provided a floor area of 0.58 times the lot area. The maximum permitted building length is 17 meter, and the proposed building length is 20 meter only. And the fourth is the permitted maximum building depth is 19 meter, and the proposed building depth is 20.1 meter. In according to that, I would like to address some of the project which have more variance than us. That is 234 Mintos Road, 68 Cliffside Drive, 2462 Kingston Road, and 17 Malta Street. They have more variances than us. And also, I would like to tell you that we are within all the provided setbacks, and I would like to request to committee to consider the variances are in minor in nature. So now, I would like to address the objections which are given by the nature. First is from 189 Scarborough Crescent by SM Archer. They have given a lot of effort, but the objections, they are not in context with our variances. The values they have shown are incorrect, and for the setbacks, we have not encroached any of the setback lines. So again, the given data are incorrect. Pictures that they have shown are misleading, as there are no such addresses, and there is no such the pictures, they does not match with the addresses. So I would like to request to committee members for not taking it into the consideration. The second objection is from the same address, 189 Scarborough Crescent by Richard Colville. I would like to request them not to compare the new developments with the old ones, because the objections are not related with the minor variance. Those things are engineering issues. If the city engineering has any comments, we will definitely address those issues. Third one is from 186 Scarborough Crescent. So their concern was about our development, which will block the sun in their backyard. So our provided rear yard setback is 11.8 meter, and their provided rear yard setback is 23.21 meter far. In total, it is 34.29 meter. So I think it will not block their sunlight in the backyard at all. And also they were talking about their privacy concerns. So I would like to say that they have provided fencing, as they mentioned, and already have given enough privacy to enjoy their backyard. So please take it into consideration. And I would like to let you know that also the owner can afford to go to the neighbors, and he have a lot of support from the neighbors. So I would like to thank the neighbors for the supporting. And also the committee of adjustment, we have no comments from that. So community also we don't have any comments from community planning. So I would like to request the committee members to please consider it, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Kranal. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for Kranal?
Through the chair, I just want to clarify that there is a community planning condition, and there's urban forestry conditions as well.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Members of the committee. Yes, Member Macaulay.
I just wanted to clarify, First of all, I want to say thank you to the applicant for clarifying a lot of that information. But there was one issue that was raised, and that is that there's a sewer easement on the north side of the property. Is the applicant aware of this, and have they taken that into consideration with the setback from the north property line?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, that's all I needed was confirmation that you're aware of the sewer easement and you're not obstructing it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or clarification? I see none. All right. Krinal, before you go, you were speaking, right? Not Faisal on this application, correct? You're both listed as agents.
Yes, Krinal.
Krinal, oh, it's only yourself. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let us proceed with speaking with our neighbor here, Carla Thorpe. All right, Carla, are you with us?
Hear me?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, good
Yes.
morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. So I live at 186 Scarborough Crescent, directly behind where this build is proposed. And my property, we share that easement on the north side of our property. It runs under my property and will go on the north side of their property, and it's not on the plans. I mean, this is a concern because it's affected when our house was built. For example, our driveway has only bricks over, a portion of it because we don't, because they need to be able to pull it up for the easement. We're only allowed to build, to make repairs on an existing garage because of the easement. And I'm shocked that it's not part of the plans. Like what they have proposed goes over the easement. I mean, the question earlier, it's not being fairly acknowledged. And I question why it wasn't put into the plans in the first place. And then I'll go on. There's also 3 mature trees in the backyard that will be cut down, and we are concerned about the urban forest. We want to make sure that that's acknowledged. And also those trees provide privacy, as we were talking about. We are concerned about our privacy. And then the previous speaker spoke about neighborhood support. And we have seen the letter of support that was submitted. And a lot of the signatures, one of them is from 127 Midland, and that address does not exist. Some of the signatures have the same handwriting. What we want to make sure is that you please verify the authenticity of that. It does not seem authentic when you think about that. So that's one of the things. Our concern is that it's actually a rooming house, improperly zoned. A rooming house is one thing, but if it is going to be a rooming house, it needs to be properly zoned. All of the parking needs to be planned out. This kind of a large building will have impact on sewage and drainage issues, which we've had severe issues. We've had flooding in our neighborhood, as has Sherry Archer, who also submitted a letter. I don't want this to be a bait and switch where it's being presented as a home, but it's really a rooming house. So we just need to make sure that that's all properly done. And then about the note about Sherry Archer's letter. Sherry Archer wrote an outstanding letter. I do hope you consider it because it points out that there was inaccurate data on the plan regarding the size and the drainage. And then there's a lot of kind of inaccurate data on the plan. And it's very concerning that something like that would be submitted. And, we just want this committee to put the brakes on this because it's very specious, it's concerning. And again, finally, my family does have a concern about the rooming house looking into our bedroom. two will be able to, and our backyard. We have children, and we don't want people living in the backyard. So, in conclusion, we're very concerned about this bill. We think that there are factual inaccuracies here, and we would like the committee to consider those.
Okay, is that all, Carla?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Carla, before you go, just want to clarify. Unfortunately, we, the committee right now, cannot tell if this is a rooming house. Number of bedrooms or number of bathrooms or the internal layout of any house, that's not something that this committee, it's under our purview. And if you have more than your typical number of bedrooms or bathrooms, doesn't automatically suggest that it would be a rooming house. There may be family needs, who knows? I'm just putting all the scenarios that could potentially be out there. There may be, extended families living together or more members of the family living together, who knows? So just for us, it's really difficult. What I can say is that if the zoning for these lands is single detached dwelling, and if it remains a single detached dwelling, then no problem. But if it does turn into a rooming house from a functionality, from an operations perspective, when it does happen, you'd have to contact the right department in the city. For the committee today, just by looking at the plans, I can't tell if it's a rooming house because this client perhaps needs more rooms and bedrooms and bathrooms. So we just want to make sure that we cross that bridge, and so we're not looking this as a rooming house. For all intents and purposes, this application is for a single detached dwelling, and that's what we're looking at, and that's what's being presented to us today. So just want to clarify that. But I totally agree, and I hear your concerns that if the lands are not zoned for rooming, then a rooming house should not go in there. But if it does in the future, please feel free to contact the city. Flooding and those things are not in our purview. I'm sure the building department and the engineering department will look at those plans when they come in for the building permit and ensure that there's no adverse impacts on the adjacent properties as a result of this proposed development. And I'm sure that all measures will have to be taken into place to mitigate any adverse impacts on the adjacent lands. So that's what I can speak to. I'm as curious as you are on the easement, so I'm now going to go to Crenell, and I'm going to ask her for some clarification on the easements now. I hope I was able to make myself clear with regards to matters that are not under the purview of this committee, but we'll certainly go and speak to Crenell about it. So Crenell, we're now coming back to you.
Yes.
So Crenell, a couple of things that were mentioned. We need a bit more clarification. Perhaps we can pull up the plan and you can show us where the easement is and if you are indeed building upon that easement. And number two is your discussion with the urban forestry and the number of trees that are being taken out and what the conditions are from urban forestry.
Madam Chair, we are not interrupting any of the easements.
Where's the easement on the plan? Can you show it to me on the plan? Okay. Kelly, would you be able to point out where that easement is? You don't know that? Okay. Okay, so Crenell, could you describe what the extent of the easement is?
Madam Chair, give me a second. I'll figure it out.
Sure. It should typically be on a survey, which is attached to this agenda. Yeah. But it's not showing, there's no easement being shown, right? I mean, there's an instrument number, and I don't know if that's an instrument number.
This property has driveway.
So zoom in at the back of the property. Yeah, I don't see an easement. Yeah. Remember, Macaulay, did you see any easement? Because you had that question. Where is that easement?
I didn't see the easement, although it made some sense knowing how these lands are normally developed, that there would be an easement running from Midland Avenue to that next property, and that part of that easement includes the words that you cannot build on top of the easement. these are generally water courses or sewer easements.
Or swales or drainage swales, right? I see.
Yeah, and they do become a problem if there's a hard surface on top and they have to be repaired.
Correct. Okay, so I'm going to get some clarification from staff here. Staff.
Through the chair, the jurisdiction of the Committee of Adjustment is really just to look at review the variances that are before you based on the 4 tests. In terms of easements, what I can say is that easements are also required to be submitted as part of the building permit application, and they won't get, the owner will not get a building permit issued if they're building on top of an easement. It needs to remain free and clear.
100%.
Depending on the wording of the easement.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's not in our jurisdiction. However, when a claim is made that they're building on an easement, I thought it would be appropriate to ask that question. But if you don't have that information, we cannot, dwell more upon it. I'm sure it'll be taken care of through the next process or the next permit requirements.
Correct.
Okay. All right, but I was just curious because member Macaulay had mentioned and the neighbor had mentioned, so I was just asking where it was. I don't see anything on the plan. So Carla, if you're listening in, unfortunately, I can't help you. The plans or the survey plans don't show that easement.
Through the chair, we're going to be pulling up a plan that shows the instrument number here. This is actually from the survey, and it indicates, if you take a look right there, Kelly is showing that. She's highlighting it right
There are
now.
no easements or right-of-ways registered on title.
The mystery is solved.
Mystery solved. Yeah, because typically the survey plans would have the instrument number on it, right? It's not there. Okay, well, it's confirmed now, no easements or right-of-ways, and this is a plan created by a OLS. It's a registered surveyor, so licensed surveyor, so I have no further concerns with regards to the easement. If there is any, I'm sure it'll be pulled out later, but at least nothing that would have to, it's impacting us right now. Okay, so we're gonna now go back to our core discussion on the variances, if there is any more concern. Trees, Kranal, we have comments from Urban Forestry. Do you have any concerns with the proposed conditions?
No, we are okay with that.
Okay, and there are 2 conditions. And then you've read the community planning staff report
Yes.
and the
Yes, Madam Chair.
recommendation that the decision, if should committee approve it, it'd be tied to the site plan. Okay, on that note, committee members, any questions or comments? I see none, all right. Can I have a motion then on this application? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm satisfied that the variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And Madam Chair, you did a commendable job on explaining to the person with concerns, about the fact that we don't have purview in much of what she's concerned about. So I'm prepared to move approval, subject to the community planning condition and urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Thank you, Member Taylor. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second the motion for approval with the condition mentioned by Mr. Don.
Okay, and all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application has been approved, subject to conditions. Thank you. Okay, and I believe the last item that we had held is item 17. Item 17 is 8 Falmouth Avenue. And do we have the applicant, Julia Boron? Julia, you're with us?
Hi, this is, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Julia.
Perfect. Apologies for the technical difficulties earlier.
No problem, it worked out. We had to hold it anyways. Okay, So Julia,
Great.
we're looking at your application and one of the reasons, unless you have more to add, but one of the reasons we held down this was to further discuss with you the transportation services objections to the dimensions of the proposed attached garage. Have you had a chance to further discuss this or think about it, and what are your thoughts and comments on this?
Yeah, so our comments are on it. I have a small presentation that I can explain our minor variance.
Sure.
Okay. So we are proposing the addition of a second story and a rear extension to the existing single-story dwelling, as well as the construction of a new attached garage. We are also proposing to provide a secondary suite in the basement. So since each dwelling unit requires a parking space, we are proposing a single car attached garage to serve the main dwelling and a driveway area to serve the secondary suite. So the bylaw requires the minimum width of 3.2 meters for a single car garage, and we are proposing a width of 3.02 meters. This is the maximum width that we can obtain under the existing conditions. The new south exterior garage wall cannot be moved any further without breaching setback requirements for the property. And the other garage wall on the north side is the existing exterior wall of the current dwelling, which must be maintained. So we believe that our proposal for the garage width still provides an adequate and comfortable amount of space to enter or exit the vehicle. And we actually base this off the fact too that other neighboring municipalities require less space. For instance, the city of Mississauga requires a minimum width from the inside face of a garage wall in a residential dwelling to be 2.75 meters, and the city of Vaughan to be 3 meters. So we therefore feel that a width of 3.02 meters would still be adequate for passengers to enter and exit a vehicle parked inside the garage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, members of the committee. Before I go to the members of the committee, Julia, I'm assuming you've had the same conversation with Transportation Services, correct? But it appears that they were still not convinced with the variance.
We just received the one email last week from them, so we figured we would address it today at the committee.
Okay, just.
Because they assumed we were having a 2-car garage as well, but we clearly stated on the drawings that it is a single car garage.
Okay, all right. I'll let other members speak to it until I can try to understand this myself. So, members of the committee, any questions or comments? Member Macaulay, go ahead, please.
Yes, this question again with the garage. You're building a new garage, and that is for the existing dwelling, and then the second parking space is going to be on the driveway, or is it going to be in the garage?
It is going to be on the driveway.
All right. In the garage that you're building, I'm familiar with issues in the city of Vaughan with their parking garages, and you've raised those. Sometimes there are doors or stairs in the garage that obstruct the access for the vehicle and the passenger cars and passenger doors to open in the garage. Are there any stairs or doorways in the existing garage and in your proposed garage that would cause obstructions?
We do not believe so. So we do have a door entering the main dwelling from the garage. However, when you look at the length of the garage, it is quite substantial. So there's enough space like at the back where the door is. So that's why it's like 9 meters. So we believe that there should not be any obstructions.
Okay, thank you. No more questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thanks, Member Macaulay. And I think the confirmation that Julia provided in her presentation that this is going to be for one parking space only at least eliminates the substandard sort of requirement for 2 parking spaces. It's indeed going to be 1 parking space, and perhaps the committee can consider including that as a condition that this be for 1 parking space if committee wishes to to consider an approval for this. So I think the length issue could be addressed. And Julia has confirmed that there are no obstructions except the entrance door at the end of the space. So I think there will be no obstructions on the side, which could impact the width. Okay. All right. Any more questions? I see none. Okay. Julia, we're going to take the matter into committee. Any closing remarks before I go?
No, that is everything. Just thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate that. Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'm satisfied that the concerns of the Transportation Department are, with respect to length, resolved because this is a one-car garage. And with respect to width, I don't think the variance is substantial. It's about 7 inches short of required. And also, I appreciate the fact that the agent explained that the reduced width of the driveway is to avoid having to reduce the side yard. And I think as a trade-off, it's preferable to maintain the side yard required by the bylaw. So, yeah, I'm satisfied. If anybody else has anything to say, please feel free. But barring that, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, I did not see
well then,
any. Yeah, please go ahead, Member Taylor. I didn't see any other hand.
Okay. I will move approval. I find the variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And my motion would be without conditions.
All right. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All in favor of this motion? Carried, and the application has been approved, and there are no conditions. Thank you very much. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the agenda for the morning session. We have dealt with all items from 1 to 17, and we're going to proceed with our afternoon session at 1:30.
That's correct. And for the YouTube viewers out there, please, if you wish to look at view the afternoon session, please click on the PM session.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to take a break now, and we will be back at 1:30 to deal with items 18 to 27 on the agenda for this afternoon. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you. See you.